I am back. It shut me off. I'm not sure anybody can hear me.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It I lost it somewhere and had to connect through the passcode. So
Mr. McElveen,
yes.
Ms. Mathis will be contacting you directly to see about getting you back in for your interview.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to mute for now, and I'm going to mute you for now.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. McElveen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, that's much better. Thank you. They went
Certainly.
ahead and pulled in the next candidate. So as soon as Ms. Brennan is through interviewing, we'll pull you back in. Is that okay?
Certainly, no problem.
I apologize for that.
Well, I just lost the connection for a second, and I had to go back in through the passcode and the browser, so I'm back that way now.
Okay, perfect. Well, listen, I really appreciate you being patient with us, and we'll pull you back in here in just a moment.
Certainly, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. Everybody's back. We even have a cast of more from all of our staff that I see here. Okay, we have conducted the interviews. No action has been taken during the interview process. We did have a problem with one individual under the Library Board of Trustees, a Marjorie Trifon. Ms. Mathis, could you let us know what final result there is there?
Yes, sir. So I spoke on the phone with her directly, and we have rescheduled her for July 13th, for the
Okay.
July 13th Rules and Appointment meeting.
Okay, very good. And since that was one of the committees that there's no notification of appointments for today to full council anyway, so that's not going to have any negative effect on any of this. We did interview several candidates. Some of them were for committees, boards or commissions that are not part of number 5 notification of appointments. We do have 5A, B, and C to consider for tonight. I noticed that on 5A, Hospitality Tax Advisory Committee, we don't have a number in there, but from what I saw and what we had last time, it's 5. Is that correct, Ms. Mathis? 5 vacancies.
I believe that's correct. Let me just verify that quickly.
Yeah.
Hold on one moment.
Well, as long
Yes,
as it's more than 2.
It's 5.
Okay, so we've got and we don't have to even appoint the ones that are there in front of us, but we have a 5A Hospitality Tax Advisory Committee. We have 5 vacancies. We have 2 applicants. I would entertain a motion or any discussion on this item if you'd like.
I make a motion to appoint candidate B.
Motion to appoint candidate B. Is there a second or any substitute motion that anybody would like?
Substitute motion
Substitute motion.
to accept or to nominate candidate A and B.
Candidate A and B is a substitute motion. I'll second that for discussion. The one thing that we need to be aware of in appointing these individuals to these committees is any requirements that there are. It's not in front of us right now. I don't know who of the committee members that are remaining, what their backgrounds are. And I'd like to ask Ms. Mathis if you or one of your co-workers in the clerk's office would get that for us, because although with 5 vacancies, I'm sure we could do it. But one of these people, I believe, has to be active in the restaurant business. And
We've got that covered.
And I say, I know Terry Davis would do that. I don't know if somebody else is already there. So, but we need to know this when we do these interviews, at least at the time of appointment, if there's a requirement that we need to meet so that we make sure we're not skipping over it. Any other discussion besides that? If there is none, we will take the substitute motion first.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
would we want to get that information from the clerk's office first before we take the vote on this? Just so that we don't, because the 2 candidates are restaurant owners.
right. So they're going to qualify for that. I mean, they would give us the qualification we need for that.
Okay, so,
Point one or both of them were covered there. So we don't really need it this time, but I think in the future.
okay,
that
gotcha.
front, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so the substitute motion before us is to appoint candidates A and B. Ms. Mathis, if you would call the roll, please.
Certainly. Malinowski,
Yes,
Barron,
yes,
Mackey,
yes,
substitute motion passes.
okay. We'll notify council of that. The next one is the Board of Assessment Appeals, 1 vacancy, 1 applicant. And this is one that you have to have somebody active in the real estate business, I know.
Mhm.
do we have somebody that is currently on this board that's active in the real estate business?
Mr. Malinowski, this is Ms.
Yes.
Onley.
Yes.
Both of the people that are currently serving have real estate backgrounds. One is in construction and one is a property manager.
Okay.
So they fulfill that.
Okay, I guess the property manager more so, because construction, I don't see how that comes under real estate business. Now, you said background, and I just want to make sure, Ms. Only, background is not what we need. It says they must be active. So
One is the construction, he owns the construction business, and the other is a property manager.
okay. I guess I'll, from my colleagues, do you think that property manager qualifies for real estate? I guess it does.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would say
I
so.
would think so. Okay. And so we're covered there. Now, the one thing that I still am missing from Ms. Barber in the application at the last meeting, she had in there, see attached, and I made note to please provide that to us for this meeting. And it still says see attached, but there's no attachment. Can somebody from the clerk's office tell us what that attachment was? How long is it? Was it just a brief background? Was it a detailed background?
I looked at her application. I saw no attachment, so I'm not sure where that came from.
Okay, and if she didn't attach it, then that's fine. All right, well, I'll entertain a motion on 5B1, Board of Assessment Appeals.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Barron.
I make a motion that we appoint Ms. Dolores Barber and re-advertise for the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Yeah, whatever the number is that we have here for remaining.
In addition, you know what?
What I put, seven-
I withdraw my motion because there is only one vacancy. So we don't need to re-advertise. So I can restate, may I restate my motion?
Yeah, I'm just going to it. You sure can.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Dolores Barber to the Board of Assessment and Appeal.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to say that I missed this interview at the last meeting, and I had not had a chance to go back and listen to the interview. So at this point, I'm not going to vote on it.
Okay, my concern on this was what the Assessment Appeals Board actually needs as far as what they would prefer to see in an applicant. And that experience or preferred experience that they're looking for says all board members should have a background in one of the following fields. And it says appraisal, real estate development, condemnation experience, or experience with real estate litigation matters. And when you look at Ms. Barber's qualifications, she is a retired nurse, and her reason for making the application was to help make a difference in Richland County and her community, which is an admirable reason, but it doesn't give the qualifications that this board is asking that we provide them with. So based on that, I seconded the motion for discussion, but based on that, I could not support her only because I really don't want to put somebody on a board that the board's asking for other qualifications for, and the person has none.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll be recognized.
Sure, go ahead.
So she did speak to a lengthy community involvement with union stewards and workers' compensation and other other volunteer positions that she's done in the past that could qualify her to serve on this board. It may not be in a professional capacity. And that's questionable.
Right, and I hear what you're saying.
And to the point, some people gain more experience in a volunteer capacity than they actually do professionally. And so that was my way in. And even I made a note, during her interview, that whereas she's a licensed registered nurse by profession,
Right.
but when she lists all the things that she was doing in the community and how she was doing a lot in that same capacity, in that same vein that the board is requesting. She's just not being compensated or doing it professionally. I could go either way here.
Well, they've got 7 members, and 3 of them are what we make. So I see what you're saying. She did mention having, I guess I'd call it a life experience in some of these areas. And you're right. Sometimes that maybe even qualifies for more than the professional, or not to demean the professionals by any means, but it could qualify. So I'm fine as there's no additional discussion. Then Ms. Mathis, if you will call the vote, please. Let me interrupt you, Ms. Mathis. Let me interrupt you. How long has this vacancy been there? Can you find that out? Has it been a while?
It looks like we have one vacancy that has been there from May of 2019.
Been a while. Okay. All right, let's go ahead with the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Ms. Maggie, was that a no or is it an abstain?
Sorry, that was abstain. Yeah.
Abstain because she
I was
wasn't
saying
here.
no, I'm not voting.
Right. Okay, thank you. So,
it's 2 of 3. I
Alright.
believe the motion would pass.
yes, it will. The next one is the Board of Zoning Appeals. We had 2 individuals making application. We're on letter C, 1 and 2. Tammy LaMountain told us during the interview she is unable to make the meetings. So the fact she's unable to make the meetings, to me, she's pulled herself out of consideration. And so we don't need to consider her based on her comments on that. That leaves
Make a motion to appoint candidate number 2.
for Mr.
Second.
Robert Reese. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, next items for action. 6A, boards, committees, and commissions recruitment. Ms. Mathis, I believe this is where you have the information technology wanting to share something with us.
Yes, sir, I do. We are going to have Tim join us. Tim, are you there?
Yes, sir, I sure am. And Andrea, I'm here. I'm here with Megan Eastler. We're both with the Richland County IT department, and we wanted to demonstrate some software that we're working with Ms. Mathis on that will address some of the needs reflected in applicant tracking for these boards, commissions, and committees.
Okay, about how long is this, Tim?
I think 10 minutes or so.
All right, that'll give us a little time left then if there's some questions. So go right ahead, hit it.
All right, we'll share our screen here and kick off. Okay, so what we've done here is we've used some existing technology tools that we already had in place at the county to create a digital version of the now paper-based application and application management process.
Let me interrupt you. Can everybody see that okay? Do you want it any bigger? I know I'm older, so I can see it. Okay, thank you.
We're fine.
Okay. And absolutely, if you have questions or if you can't hear, speak up and let us know so we can correct that. So this basically digitizes an analog process, and it starts with the application process itself. So currently, the folks interested in applying for these boards, commissions, or committees would pull a paper application off of our website, print it out, fill it out, and either email it or U.S. Postal Service mail to the clerk's office. So we've designed, based on the existing paper form, a online form that can be linked on our website that interested folks can use to make their submission. So the information collected is the same as what we found on the paper application, and there's a drop-down list where they can select the body that they're interested in applying for. And so as you can see, we've pre-populated that with the list of BCCs in question. So there would be a situation where if somebody wanted to apply for multiple entities, they would submit multiple applications with the information on those, pointing towards the relevant details in a particular entity. Once the applicant gets through the application itself and attaches any backup information like a resume or other professional information, they can sign it digitally and submit it into our system. Okay. So once the form is submitted by the applicant, there's a back-end workflow process that the clerk staff would use to manage that application through the appointment process. So you can see the first, what we call queue on the list there is called new application. So that's where the initial qualification would happen of the applicant. They'd be looking for things like place of residence. Is that consistent with what what the particular entity requires? What's their professional background? Have they served on any boards, committees, or commissions before? And if so, when? So all those factors go into.
I need to interrupt you. I don't see where it says new application on the part I'm looking at here.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Another page.
Forgot to click.
I should have read your puzzled looks a little. Apologize for that.
You didn't click that.
So anyway, as we were saying, the new application queue is where that evaluation would be made. If someone is not qualified due to any of the particular reasons, we would mark them as such, and the system would move them to a different queue so that they're not under consideration any longer, and it would send a notification to the applicant with the reason for the finding of not being qualified.
For the new application, when someone would complete the application, is it a single application for every committee? So if they apply for multiple, then you would see 5 new applications, or would it just count as one new application, but they applied for many? Does that make sense?
It would count as multiple applications for each committee or board. And I think the reason for that is that there's different qualification considerations for different entities. And so you'd want to be able to keep those separately. So if in fact they are qualified, then the next step would be to initiate an interview process. So the record would move to the pending interview queue that you see kind of halfway down the screen there. And that's where the clerk staff would reach out to the applicant, set up an interview date. And once that's done, we would move them, the system was going to move them to the pending interview queue. And
So these move based upon the action that's being done. So they automatically move.
that's correct. And we have that pulled up, and we can show you kind of an in-action version of that. So
Can y'all see that okay, or is it too small?
It's a little small.
Can you- Will it just Zoom? No, that's the Zoom app.
that's why I was using the screenshot, because
Yeah.
it is a little small.
Yeah,
We'll just go through it.
We can rough it.
Yeah. So if you notice in this new application queue, so let's just look at for instance, this Richland Memorial Board of Trustees. So here's an applicant whose application has been reviewed by clerk staff, and they found that for whatever reason, that person is not qualified to serve on the particular board. So they would come up here.
Does that document date the date that they sent it in, the date it was received, the date it was reviewed?
We capture all of that information, Mr. Malinowski. This particular document date would be the date that it was created. So that's
Okay.
what the application was submitted.
Okay, thank you.
But in the background, we're also capturing those other important dates.
Right.
So based on their determination, they would, for this person, select them to be not qualified. And so when they click that particular button, there's a reason for the rejection that would be entered into here. And, maybe it's a residency requirement or something like that. And then they would click send, and that's going to move that person's record out of there. So you don't see it there any longer. And now it's in not qualified queue, Sloan Griffin not qualified. And what the system will do in the background is take that reason for the finding of not qualified, put the email and notify the applicant that the status of that application has been changed.
Yeah. And that email is done automatically. Once that click is performed, that's when the email is populated.
Is this the same process for if someone mails in an application versus completing it via this online platform?
Right. So if we do get paper applications, the clerk staff can import those into this tool and process them with all the other digital applications. Yes.
In this email that you said you're sending out, is it something created in the clerk's office that's sent to them? Or is it just a form type of email? In other words, where I'm going with this is if the person's deemed not qualified, in addition to saying not qualified because the city of Columbia also appoints members to this board, you live in the city, we recommend you apply through the city. Would that all be put in there then?
Yes, sir. That's the way we envision it. And so we're working with the clerk's office to get the verbiage for these notifications nailed down. But there would be, in this particular case, because the qualification reasons, could be different for each particular entity or even each particular situation or seat on the board. That's why that text box comes up that allows them to put in custom reasons. So it's both a form letter, but with the ability to add specific reasons to that particular applicant.
You mentioned earlier that this was an existing software that we already have. What software are we using?
This tool is called OnBase. It's the county's kind
You
of,
broke up on mine. Could you say the name again, please?
yes, sir, it's OnBase, ONBASE.
Okay.
And we're using this for online forms for the assessor's office, finance department, and the auditor's office. And we also have these workflows in place for the ombudsman's office and other departments within the county. So it's pretty well checked out. So I guess you can see kind of, how the application moves through different stages of the application process, the assessment, the scheduling of the interview, the ultimate appointment of that applicant. Let us show you these kind of what the end result is, and that's some dashboarding information that allows you to review the status of each entity and where we are with whether there's vacancies, if there's applicants for that particular entity, and where those applicants are in the evaluation process. So you can see here we've selected again with the Board of Trustees of the hospital, and that filters out all of the information and presents just the hospital board into this pie chart here. So right of the label where it says Board of Trustees 14, that's the total number of seats that are on that board. And we can see in the large green section, the count is 12 appointed. So that means there's 2 vacancies for this particular entity. And in addition to those 12 appointments.
For this one, I'm sorry, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Malowski, for this board, aren't 12 of them appointed by the governor? And so we technically only appoint 2. So is this a fair representation? You're on mute. Mr. Malowski, you're on mute.
I am, thank you. On some of these boards, we make the recommendation and then it's the governor that will make the appointment. And I'll go back to that one and look for you.
Okay, well, I was just wondering, I think just for some of them there is where we don't necessarily control all of the seats. And so when looking at this, I just want to make sure it's a fair representation for the person viewing it, because if there's 10 seats, but we only control 5 of them, I want to make sure it shows that, because really we're doing our part, even though maybe the other seats may not be filled.
Yes, ma'am. We just noticed a typo.
Richland County is only a recommending body for this particular one, something like that. Because some of them then are pursuant like the.
But again, I think the point here is we are tracking the applications and who gets interviewed for these particular vacancies. So that's really the point, not what the governor would appoint, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Mathis, I understand. I'm just stating that when it looks at what we have open, the reality is, we can only appoint a certain number. So just making sure we're looking at the stats, and if we access the report, that we're truly looking at the right stats, right? Because a board may have 6 vacancies, but the county can only appoint 2 to them. And that's kind of the stat that I would want to see versus all the other. What can we really actually control? But I think the stats are good to see overall.
I think that one thing that we have been working through with Ms. Mathis is that each of these entities has, unique and different rules and situations kind of in that vein. And it's important for us to, I think, reinforce that this is a fully customizable process. So this was really, we really took a tool that can be changed and modified and present data in any way that you see fit. So when you have situations like that, we can probably address them and quickly with the use of this tool, which is one of the reasons we selected.
Great. Great.
So just to kind of finish off what's going on here. So we do see that there's 2 vacancies, And we see that we have one member that's in a term lapse situation. So they're still seated, but their term expired on the 31st of December. We can see that there's 4 applicants that are in a status of pending interview. That means that their interview date has been set, and we're just waiting for the opportunity to speak with them. And then we also have some folks that we're trying to reach. There's 2 people that we're trying to reach to set up an interview. One new application that has not been qualified yet, so we don't know whether we're going to interview them or not. And then we have somebody that's in pending appointment. And that means that they won't necessarily be appointed, but they've been through the interview process, and the decision to appoint them or not is at hand. If they're appointed, they would then go to the appointed queue, and we capture their term information. If we decide that we're not going to appoint them, then we have a separate queue that holds their application for a year in the event that we want to reconsider that appointment at a later time.
Can you quickly go to the East Richland Public Service Commission on here?
We can.
There it is, and it shows 5 applicants, and I think this will address Ms. Mackey's question. This is one that the rules are, there are 5 members on that particular commission, and they're appointed by the governor, but they're appointed upon recommendation of the council. So that's why we still need that in there so that we know we got to recommend 5 people. I hope that helps.
Yeah. And then for instance, I guess another example or one would be like the transportation penny board, where we're appointing some, the city's appointing some.
Right. Does that show just the ones the county appoints then? And the
Yes, for this one, it's just the 7. It's just the 7 members that the county appoints.
Okay.
That's great. And will it track? So right now we're saying when we get an application that we keep it on file for a year, even if we interview. So is that where does that fall? What category does that fall? If we've already interviewed you, you didn't get appointed, but your application is still valid.
Right. So we're not showing those as part of that dashboard. That could be a different report of members in a hold status. But you can see Andrea and her staff are able to look that up by using those cues. So what we've displayed here is the contents of the hold for future queue. And you can see here in the Community Relations Council, there's 6 people that are in that status that were interviewed, but not selected.
And we also have a timer set, and it will email the applicant 20 days before the year mark, just to give them opportunity to reapply and just to inform them.
Okay, right where you are now under the county logo, it looks like, I guess it was highlighted, applicant must reside in Richland County. There may be a time or two when it would, I don't know how you adjust it for the individual BCC, because there are some, like, as Ms. Mackey brought up, the Transportation Commission. The individuals, we appoint 7, the city appoints some, Forest Acres, Irma, whoever, Chapin, they appoint others also. So they could reside in Richland County, but they really wouldn't be eligible to apply through us as the unincorporated portion. So that would have to be noted somehow on some of these.
And depending, I'm sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was just going to say that, Mr. Malinowski, one of the things that we would like to do in the next phase of this is that when a applicant selects one of these bodies from the drop-down list, to present the qualifications for that particular.
And that was my next question. Thank you.
Yeah, depending on when you click on that, a box or some type of field will pop up, and it'll just state qualifications, and if you meet these or not, you can submit it or not submit it.
Okay, because today was a perfect example. One lady applied, and when we got asking her question, she said, "Oh, well, I can't make those meetings." So based on that, she would have not needed to apply had we had that available to her to see what it was.
And so once we get all that data, we collect all that, we can definitely put that in there. Just
Okay,
to filter a little bit more.
thank you.
And who has access to this?
That was
Is
my
it-
question.
The security is customizable, and currently, Megan and I have access to it.
Just
Um,
us.
And access would be granted based on your direction.
Okay. Is there a way, I guess, for instance, if we have several folks in the clerk's office, they each can have access to it so that, somebody, it's not all on one person's responsibility to input applications that come in, but at least everyone can see and track and help as needed?
Yes, ma'am. You can have read-only access for people that maybe you just want to show these dashboards to. And we can control who could delete applications. Maybe that's an administrator of the program, and other people could do data entry as well. So yes, all that can be pretty finely defined.
Well, thank you, IT and the clerk's office. I am extremely pleased with the technology used,
Yes.
the progressive nature to get something done in a timely fashion. So I publicly say, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Megan and Tim.
Yes,
Mathis,
thank you.
Your staff, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
I think
we're gonna keep.
it's definitely going to be great.
Well, we appreciate the feedback, and as always, this is a work in progress. So if you see something, say something, and we'll try.
Okay. All right, give us our screen back and we'll finish the meeting.
Can I just say a few quick things about the process?
Go
So
ahead.
one of the few things that they had mentioned, but I just want to make sure that this is the first phase. So some of the other things that we're working through for phase 2 would be working with scripts so that when the person inputs their address, that we can connect it somehow to scripts behind the scenes that will automatically fill in their county council person, their district, whether they're a municipality, so on and so forth. So that is forthcoming. We're not quite there yet, but we're working towards it. Phase 2 is coming. So this is our, first ditch effort at just trying to capture some of the things that we have been discussing all along. And so I just wanted to say again, publicly for me, thank you, Tim and IT, because Megan in particular, you've been up here quite a bit. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Ms.
That's all.
Miller, we need to put in there, who is your council representative? And if they don't know, then you can fill it in and say, here, they didn't know, but we got it for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
thanks a lot. I got a motion to adjourn
Second.
and a second. No discussion. Ms. Mathis, call the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.